to see where you're at with that. Let me go to a different conversation with you. Recently, when I watched some of your tweets, I don't know if you've announced this or not. I don't know if you've joined AIPAC. I don't know if you are, if you are an advisor for them. Let me read some of these tweets. Muslims aren't the problem. The open borders and motherfuckers and the media attacking nationalism, pushing DEI, transgenderism, and destroying moral values are the problem. August 4th. If you don't put America first as a U.S. politician, you are committing treason. Supporting Israel is bad for America. Netanyahu is a convicted war criminal, and Israel is not our ally. We fought way too many wars for Israel, and we certainly don't need to give them any more money. July 25th. These idiots have ruined movies. Everything they put out is literally propaganda. And then all of a sudden, we got scripture here. For what shall it profit? For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Is this recent comments you're making about Israel a recent thing, or have you always had these beliefs?
It's more recent. I didn't really realize what a problem it was until recently, and then everybody was scared to say something about it. My brother told me, you can't say anything about it. They'll fucking kill you. Everybody basically said that I couldn't say anything about it. And actually now they're literally trying to kick me off the board of my company because of those tweets. So,
shit.
Yeah, I've definitely had a lot of negative pushback, a lot of my Jewish friends. But I don't give a fuck. It's one of those things where I know that it's the right thing. And the fact that everybody else is scared to say it makes me, feel obligated to be vocal about it.
Why do you think it's the right thing?
Because I know that they're a fucking parasite. They provide the U.S. absolutely no value. They've done so many things that, would constitute, an act of war against us. I mean, USS Liberty, Lebanon Affair. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on and on. But, I think they knew about 9/11. I think they had JFK assassinated. The first thing that he wanted to do, right before he died was, make AIPAC a foreign entity, and not allow them to have nukes. And then all of a sudden this fucking guy's dead. And Jack Ruby, who is Jack Rubenstein, I mean, it's just and then you just, I don't know, man, I can't ignore all the shit that they've done. They sold our secrets. Netanyahu lied to us about weapons of mass destruction. We fought all these fucking wars. My friends have died over there. And I just look at what they provided us with, and it's fucking, it's not nothing. It's a negative, it's not, even if they just didn't do jack shit, that would be, bad, but they've actually done things to hurt us over and over and over again. So this whole thing of they're our greatest allies, just complete fucking bullshit. And, we send them $100 billion, then they send AIPAC $100 million, and then they distribute it to our politicians, and every politician is a little fucking AIPAC handler walking around and telling them what to fucking say and how to vote. And it's just look, I'll donate $100,000 to politicians, and they call me up hey, you need anything? Every week. I don't need shit. I fucking sit on my ass. I don't do anything. I don't care. I don't fucking break any laws. I don't need any favors. I just gave it to them because I didn't want to see any more fucking retard, Democrats in there. So, but that's 100,000. What does 100 million buy you? How many fucking phone calls do those guys get? And so I just know how it works, and the system is broken. These people get into office and they don't have very much money, and they get out of office with fucking tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not a fucking accident, right?
Is that an Israel thing, or is that anybody? Because China's doing the same thing.
China doesn't have they don't have an AIPAC. Israel is the only one that has a fucking a lobby in the U.S. fucking giving these politicians money.
Okay, no, every country, the big ones all have lobbyists. They all have lobbying that they're doing.
Not in the U.S. They're registered as foreign entities.
Right. I mean, if you're talking about, are you going to the dual citizenship part with Israel? Israel.
That's another problem. Is a lot of our politicians have far more allegiance to Israel than they do the United States. I mean, that's a whole nother issue as well.
Do you know why they did the dual citizenship? Do you know the history behind why they did the dual citizenship?
What do you mean?
So the whole concept of dual citizenship was because when Israel became a country again, they didn't want the people from here who wanted to go back to Israel that didn't have a motivation to go if they were going to lose their citizenship here. So that was the reason why they did it. It was kind of okay, you're your own country. We kind of need some of you guys to move over there to help the country out. Yeah, but I'm not going to go. Why are you not going to go? Am I going to lose my citizenship here? But you are. I mean, we don't do that. Every other country, I don't want to lose my citizenship. Well, okay, how about if we do this? How about if we allow you, just Israel, to go back to your country, you won't lose your citizenship? That was the arrangement at the beginning why they did it that way.
No, look, I get it. I have 3 citizenships. You know what I mean? I think it's okay. I think
what's the third one? I know Armenia, but what's the...
St. Kitts.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't have an issue with dual citizenship. My issue is when somebody is holding a U.S. office and they are putting a foreign nation's interest before America's interest, and they are favoring that other country. And so that to me is treason. Like when you are a U.S. government official, your motivation should be to do things in the best interest of the government that you are representing, not some other fucking foreign country. And that's the problem.
Okay, so but go through it. So what is the solution? Meaning, if Israel's the enemy, then if let's just say you don't do anything and everybody in the Middle East unites to take out Israel, do you think the Middle East is better without Israel? And do you think the world's a safer place without Israel?
100%. It's not even close.
Okay, tell me why. Why do you think?
Give me an argument otherwise. Please. But give me one argument why the world would be better off with Israel. Let's just start with that. One thing. Give me one thing.
Have you ever lived in the Middle East?
No.
I lived there for 10 and a half years. It's a very, it's not as like here. You can sit here, you can be an atheist, you can be an agnostic, I can be a Christian, he can be a Jew, he can be an LDS, Muslim, no problem. We can coexist here. You can do that in Israel. You can do that.
I mean, not really. They're operating apartheid right now. Everybody's not living equally.
Not at the level of Iran. Not at the level of what Iran is doing. I mean, in Iran, if you're thinking what Israel is doing out of control, do you know how much money Khamenei's families made? Do you know how much money they've taken? They have 200.
I've never been to Iran, but I've been to Dubai. I've been to Saudi. Like I've been to UAE. So like, and they're all Muslim. They seem to be operating fine.
I would say Iran's slightly different than. But go back to it. So okay, so you think the Middle East and the world would be a better place if Israel didn't exist?
Yes.
Okay.
Israel's committed, so many terrorist attacks. They're stealing land right now. They're operating in apartheid. They're currently committing a genocide on Palestinians. Like, do you believe in the genocide they're committing?
I think they're fighting for themselves and they're defending themselves.
Do you think that's defense?
Well,
when 1,200 people died, and of which the 1,200 you've killed and admitted that you've killed a lot during, your Hannibal.
I will tell you this. The part I question where people who are Jewish can't stand when I say this, I don't know how you, Netanyahu, claim you have the best intelligence in the world, Mossad, and you didn't know that on October 7th they're attacking you.
They knew about it. They didn't. They wanted it to happen, so they had a reason to take that. Yeah, they wanted a reason to take the land.
I totally get it.
And they killed their own citizens. And they claimed that all these people got raped. That was bullshit. They claimed beheaded babies. That was bullshit. Everything that they said was a fucking complete. Not only was it a lie, but they committed all those atrocities themselves to the Palestinians and been caught doing it. In fact, they just got caught gang raping Palestinians. How many babies have they killed? All the things that they accuse the Palestinians of or Hamas of or whatever, they're guilty of 100-fold themselves. And they've been doing that. Like October 7th wasn't the start of this. Like the start of this was Nakba. They've done so many different.
Disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah, so I mean, this is not like, it's not like October 7th is like, it's all of a sudden they just came over there unsolicited and just killed people. Like they have been killing Palestinians for years and years, operating two sets of justice. It's like they have the justice for the Palestinians and the justice for the Israelis. And if you read the Talmud, like, if you're not Jewish, you're basically not a human. You're like, like cattle. If a Jew is killed by, somebody that's not Jewish, then it's the death penalty. If a Jew kills somebody that's not a Jew, then, you can't kill them. It's not the death penalty. Like they literally like segregate in their Bible.
They're very protective of themselves. I don't think anybody can debate that. I don't think it's a.
Well, it's not the problem isn't that they're protective of themselves. The problem comes when you think that you're better than other people and you think it's okay to lie to anybody that's not a Jew. You think it's okay to steal from people that are not a Jew. You have two sets of standards. The problem with that is it allows you to rationalize anything, right? And human beings are generally self-serving creatures. So if your fundamental religious belief system allows you to operate in such a way that you believe there isn't consequences to stealing from other people, killing other people, raping, kids that are under 9 years old, like if you think those things are okay, then, how are you going to operate? Because to me, like my moral code keeps me on track.
I don't think that's what it is. I don't think it's because you're saying it one-sided. You're not telling the other side of the story on what they're doing either. You're not saying what Hamas did. You're not saying what they did.
What did Hamas do?
I mean, from day one, when you see the rapes and the videos, we've all seen it. This isn't something
what rapes and videos?
But stay on this here if you want to continue with this.
But what rapes and videos?
But my concern when you're saying Israel's doing it, you're saying the other side isn't doing anything.
No, but I'm asking. No. There was no rapes during October 7th. They've shown no rapes from October 7th. They showed no beheaded babies. All that was all bullshit.
I'll send you stuff. No. There's plenty of stories. It's not all of them.
The Israeli articles that I saw recently said that there was only 2 babies killed. One was shot by a bullet, and the other one died in a hospital. There was no babies in ovens. There was no beheaded babies. All that was all bullshit.
The big. Okay, so go back to the part when you said they think they're better than you. You believe that Jews think they're better than everybody else.
It says it in their Bible.
Okay, but you believe they're better than everybody else. Okay.
I didn't say they're better than everybody else.
They think.
According to their scripture.
Okay, but what if...
And if you look at how they operate, right, like they literally caught people raping Palestinian prisoners, and there was riots. But the riots weren't because they were raping the prisoners. The riots were because they felt like they had the right to rape the fucking prisoners. That's why they almost had a fucking civil war, because they felt like they had the right to rape these prisoners. They felt like that was okay because they weren't Jewish. So, you know, when you have a society that operates like that, you're going to have fucking problems. And they're not the fucking most moral army. That's all fucking bullshit. And, you know, everything that they say, it's just like almost like, listen, when somebody lies to me, like if you lie to me, I'm not probably going to trust you again. You lie to me a second time, I'm definitely not going to trust you. You lie to me a third time, and I let you lie to me the third time, I'm the fucking idiot. These motherfuckers have lied like 10,000 times. So, like, I don't believe anything they say anymore.
I come from a place of, I don't sit here expecting you to tell me 100% the truth. I don't sit here thinking, yeah, Dan's going to tell me 100% the truth with whatever he has in his life. I don't expect that from you because I don't expect people to walk on water. That's not my expect. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to live it with my life, but you can't think that China's going to tell us the truth, or Iran tells us the truth, or U.S. tells everybody the truth, or you think any country is going to tell us 100% the truth.
But I don't know, man. I got a different moral code. Like in gambling,
it's not about
but in gambling and business, like with my friend group, like you lie one time, you welch on a debt, you do one
You're
thing.
Talking friendship, though.
I'm just saying, my friends, people that I know, people that I do business with, people I gamble with, like
it's the same thing I have as well. It's the same thing most people have. There's a difference between on the personal side than on the countryside. So you're America first. Is it fair to say you're America first? Okay. How do you feel about the protesting and the rioting going on in schools, academia, Harvard, Columbia, when you've seen all the stuff that's going on, Free Palestine, Gays for Gaza, when you see that, what do you think about it? Does it do anything to you, or you're like, let me support them?
I mean, I think it's pretty funny that it wasn't a problem until it was against Israel. It wasn't a problem with BLM. It was fucking encouraged with BLM. It was
always a problem with
Bullshit. BLM. They fucking encouraged it. They let them burn down police stations. There was no repercussions.
I'm not talking mainstream.
No, I'm talking about our government, our media encouraged that shit. Right? They encouraged it when it was BLM. Like, they literally burnt down police stations and it was fine. The mayor came out and was like, no problem, no arrests, no big deal. We don't give a fuck.
Right.
Take down statues, destroy buildings, burn cop cars, do whatever you want to do. But the moment it was Israel, now all of a sudden,
why do you think
students get the shit beat out of them? They get arrested, they get pepper sprayed, they get fucking maced. And those are peaceful protests. BLM was not peaceful. But it was fine because it wasn't criticizing Israel. What does that tell you?
Let me ask you a question.
Well, we'll answer that. What does that tell you? Who's in charge here?
But you're talking to a guy that I'm not sitting here saying with BLM. I'm talking to you like you and I. I'm not talking to you with $2-3 billion of damage they did to small business owners in communities that African Americans are living in, and who controls mainstream media. And there's only 2 outlets right now. We're talking to a couple of your friends here that were during lunchtime. We're having a conversation while we're having dinner with who controls mainstream media, the left. The only one that's on the right is one, okay? And that's also going to the left. Who controls CNN, CBS, ABC? That's left. Who controls universities? Left. Who controls schools?
Well, it's like 90-something% Jewish. Right. So, we could say left, but it's Jewish if we're being honest.
Not necessarily, because even right now, if you think about it, if you think about the right and the left, okay, who's taking the biggest hit with losing Jewish voters? Because most Jews vote left. They're not voting on the right.
Jewish vote is irrelevant. They're like 2% of the population.
But the money that they vote with their money.
I mean, yeah, but like at the end of the day, I think how much money goes into these campaigns isn't going to dictate as much as when you have a president that's like potentially getting assassinated. Like those are the drivers. I mean, Kamala Harris is a drunken school teacher. Like, she can't even like formulate a coherent sentence. I mean, I don't know. The idea of voting for her just seems crazy. My biggest criticism of Trump is his support of Israel. I mean, aside from that, I mean,
Why do you think he's supporting Israel?
because of money. That's why they all fucking support Israel. Money.
Well, you said it's not about money a minute ago.
Well, he wants money. I mean, these politicians are I mean, there's two reasons to run for president.
Right.
Because you're a good person and you want to do good.
Okay.
Or because you want fucking money
Sure.
and fame. That's it. It's the only reason somebody would join
if you're a
president.
good person,
Or you want money and fame.
And fame.
That's it.
Two reasons why you run.
Why else would you
Why
run
do you
for
think
president?
Trump's reason is?
Money and fame.
You think he wants money and fame?
100%.
You think Trump's running because he wants money and fame?
100%.
He has money. He is famous.
He wants people to love him. He wants attention. I mean, he was doing like reality shows for Christ's sakes. Like, he wants more money.
I totally get it, but you think he is more, he is, how much you think it matters for Trump to be liked?
I think he wants people to like him.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if that's the case, he should have never ran, because ever since he ran, people don't like him. That's
I get it.
where-
Well, I mean, but the fame is like that. I mean, fame is polarizing. Like,
There's a big difference.
there's very few people that become famous that don't have people hate them. I mean, it comes with the territory. Like, if you want to be loved, you're going to be hated as well. It's just, that's the
in
way it is.
2014, he could have been invited to Beyonce and Jay-Z's party in 2014. In 2014, he would have been invited to, what NAACP in 20. He went to everything. So
One thing to be invited to parties, another thing to have international
No, I'm
status
talking from
and
the
legacy, and I mean,
So the reason why I brought the money side with Jews. So who do you think the recent event with October 7th hurt more, the left or the right, politically?
October 7th. What do you mean?
Israel, Hamas, like this whole back and forth. Which political party you think has lost more, taken a bigger hit with their position they've taken with the Jews?
I mean, they're both pro-Israel. So I don't think it's a left against the right when it comes to Israel. And that's like what people think is like, but it's just a distraction. Like, they're both pro-Israel. They're both, I mean, fucking Biden's giving Israel shitloads of money. Like, what do you mean? Trump's going to give shitloads of money. Trump's going to fucking go to war with Iran. What are you talking about? They're both fucking.
You think Trump's going to go to war with Iran?
He said he's going to.
No, it's his way of saying to not go to war.
He said he's going to.
He puts the same way he said with everybody else that he was going to push them. Or more didn't happen. He said.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like he said that he was going to.
So then let me ask you. So who would you vote for today? It doesn't sound like you're voting for anybody.
I mean, if I had to choose between those two, Trump for sure. I don't even think it's close. I mean, Kamala's half a fucking retard. And she pushes, all this woke left ideology. It's just nonsense. Like, I mean, she's a fucking complete moron. Not that Trump is like a super genius either, but like light years past her. I mean, she was like one of the most hated people. Like, how she even got the fucking nomination is beyond me. Like, how they didn't even give it a big mic is crazy. Like,
you ever heard of? You're so funny. You ever heard of eugenics?
Eugenics?
Eugenics. Eugenics. You ever heard of that?
What's that?
Okay. You ever seen MIT stats showing that Ashkenazi Jews' IQ is the highest IQ in the world? You ever heard about that or not?
I believe it. It's up there. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen the IQ studies. Yeah.
So what do you think about that? The fact that they have a higher IQ. How do you process that information?
What do you mean?
You have a pretty high IQ, right?
Okay,
I mean, I don't know what the score is. I've seen some. What's this? I've read it multiple different places. What's the score you got?
I don't know. I mean, I was in the 99th percentile when I was in 8th grade and got accepted to Duke on a scholarship. I mean, I've tested okay. I'm a smart guy.
Okay,
I get it,
but do you think the part about like, okay, I'm a Syrian and I'm Armenian, and then I'm born in Iran and I'm living in America. Armenians, try bring them together. It's tough. They're divided. Assyrians.
I don't know about that. Go to Glendale, buddy.
No, I lived in Glendale for 6 years.
What do you mean? They're pretty.
No.
I mean, every
kidding.
Armenian that I ever meet is like, bro, you're Armenian. It's like, I have seen
The pride is right. The
Yeah, I've
pride
seen
is
more
there.
Armenian pride than any other.
Yeah, but you're talking, these guys are coming to you. You have different types of Armenians, right? And even right now in Armenia with what they're going through with, Pashinyan and some of the political stuff. You were there in 2018 with your brother and your dad when you guys went there and got your citizenship. But Assyrians, they're divided. It's the older, the church, the club, the this, the that. You can't unite these guys together, right? The closest thing I'll say with Jews, the level of unity that they have is Muslims and Mormons. Mormons are super united. Muslims are super united, and Jews are super united. That's one part that they have the edge. But then if you look at their IQ, and if somebody's IQ is higher, they're generally going to make better decisions in business, if that is correct, right? If IQ is correct.
Is that where you're, so you think that that 6 out of the 10 richest people in America are Jewish? You think it's just IQ related?
You think they started off with money when they started creating their wealth?
I think if you look at college admissions and you look at how many Jews get admitted versus how many whites, they lump themselves in, you know, in a separate category. And 75% of college, you know, what is it? 75% is Jewish?
Of what? Admissions?
I
don't know the exact.
The college executives. What Ivy League.
The number I have is, you know, in the world, there's 267 Jewish billionaires. That's 10% of all the billionaires, while they're only 0.2% of the world, right? So that's a 5% overrepresentation. In America...
Wait, you're saying they're 2%? They're not 2% of the world, they're 0.02. If
that's what I said, 0.2.
No, they're not. I think it's 0.02.
If you do 9 billion, they have roughly 15 million people.
Okay.
So 0.2% of 8 billion is like 16 million, and that's what they have.
Okay.
0.2%,
yeah. Not 2%.
No, we're saying the same thing. We're saying the same thing. So in U.S., 132 Jewish billionaires out of 756. 17% of billionaires in America are Jewish. Mm-hmm. Did that happen accidental? Is that because they work together? Is that a bad thing? Is that something where, you know, it's kind of like saying, you know, when Tom Brady was playing in the NFL, the guy was freaking hated. It's like, oh, Deflategate, or this, or they did this, or they did that.
I don't care that like 90% of sports are black or whatever the fucking statistic is. I don't give a shit if Jews have all the money. I really don't care. I don't care if they run Hollywood. Like, my issue is like culpability with the people that are pushing these fucking bullshit narratives. The media is mostly Jewish, and the media is pushing this fucking DEI.
Yeah.
They're pushing this trans bullshit. They're pushing they push the COVID fucking shit, right? So all I'm saying is I want you to be responsible for what you're in charge of. I don't care if it's the purple people in charge of the banks. Right. I don't care if it's the fucking green people in charge of the fucking media. No, but dude, hear me out. I don't care who the fuck it is. I'm saying if the media is the green people and they're pushing COVID and they're pushing DEI, they're pushing transgenderism and they're pushing racism and they're pushing division and they're pushing a degradation of fucking moral fiber, I'm mad at the green people, right? You see what I'm saying? I don't give a shit who it is. I'm saying who is in charge should have some responsibility.
I see it in a different way. Here's how I see it. So I see it as, so, you know, when I'm coming up, I have my friends, well, you know, I'm in the insurance game and I'm making $100 grand a year, and they would say, oh my God, look at those guys. All they care about is this, and they help each other out, these different insurance companies. I'm like, yeah, how about we figure out a way to do the same? No, but they have this, and it was almost like a little bit of from a place of victimhood. Like, you know, look what they're doing. I'm like, okay, let me continue. So I grow, then I get to the next level. I'm making a little bit more money, and now I'm in different meetings. So go at every level, Dan, my experience, I may be wrong, and challenge me as much as you want and say, rip it apart, the argument that I have.
Okay.
So while you're making 6 figures, you're in a room with 50 other guys making 6 figures, right? You know which guy that's at 6 figures that's going to go to $250,000, and you know which guy's going to get stuck at 100,000, and you know which guy's going to go down because he got lucky. Maybe he landed a big insurance sale that paid him $60,000. You could filter those guys out. You go to $250,000, you saw the same thing. You knew who's going to go next level, who's going to stay, who's going to go down. $1 million, 10 million, 50 million, even $1 billion on who's going to go. Like, you know, Elon's probably not going to slow down. But between Elon and Bezos, guess who's probably going to slow down if you chose those two? You may say Bezos. They're both worth a couple $100 billion. They have more money than many countries have. But at every level, eventually somebody stops, right? And some continue at every level. This is in basketball, sports, poker, you name it. I had a big $1 million thing. I'm happy I walk away. To me, the part of it that I see when I'm talking within my community, I'm a guy that in my house, I have a 15-foot painting in my house. When you come to Florida, if you ever do, I'll show it to you. In the middle of it, you know who it is? The Shaviran is right in the middle of it. Guess who was the biggest against the Jewish Zion media empire? Guess who was the biggest person that called him out? Him. And what happened to him in 1979? You know what they did to him? They got rid of him in a different way. So you're not talking to a guy that is Jewish or pro this or pro that. For me, I want to see what caused them to go from where they were at to having the kind of wealth that I have today. Can that skill set be transferred to others? The part that you and I can criticize is what they do with all the power that they have today. We can criticize that all day long. You know, they run media, they run CNN, they do this, and they all tell everybody, you better say this, or you better say that. The Soros, the Bond, you know, Brofman, all these guys. You can criticize that all day because now you have the power. What do you do with the power? But my interest is, what caused them to get all this money? It's not like one day they woke up, they found something, and the next thing you know, they're doing this. How did they get all this power and this money that they made? Was that pure luck? Was that accidental?
I mean, depends on what field you're talking about. I mean, I think when you kind of stick together and when you BlackRock, their execs are 100% Jewish. So when you only hire Jewish people and you give them preferential treatment, I think it's natural for, your race, religion, whatever, to have a higher, success rate when you're banded together and everybody else is divided. And, it seems like America just gets more and more divided by the day. And what would make it easier to conquer a country than to divide it? It's a lot easier, that's why they say divide and conquer, right? So in order to rule a country as a small class, you want the country divided. What's happened in the last 4 years? Our country's more divided than it's ever been. It's more racist, it's more divided, it's more fucking angry. Everybody's fucking pulling each other apart. And, and the same playbook is happening in the UK. So I look at what is going on in the world and I don't think it is a positive thing. And so that is where, I get upset is because.
But the question is, how did they get the power? How do you think they got their power? Because this didn't happen, just 70 years ago. They didn't have a country, whatever the timeline is when they got it, right? How did they all of a sudden go from what happens in Germany, then they get their country, then they're able to move up politically, then they're able to move up in media, then they're able to move up in all these different places with finance and Wall Street? What did they do right? How did they get all this power? They have a lot of power. How did they do it?
I mean, look, I haven't studied Jewish power struggles or how they made their money or anything like that. That's not really,
But you know what I'm asking?
I do. And I don't really have a direct answer for it because I haven't studied it, so I'm not going to guess. But, I just look at this whole thing of, they're obviously doing really fucking well. I don't know why it's constantly like a victim card thing.
You think it's worth studying? You think it's worth studying to see what they did?
Yeah.
I remember one time I'm in LA, I'm with this guy named David. He owned a dealership, Jewish guy. First time in my life I saw $1 million cash. I'd never seen it before. I just come out of the army. I'm like, hey, how the hell do you guys, Jews, I grew up in Iran, so we have a lot of Persian Jews. How do you guys always make so much money? And he said the most fascinating thing. He said, when one of us makes money, 5 of us makes money. I'm like, what does that mean? We always do business together. We always go into deals together. We're always finding ways to do business together. Do you know from that moment when I was 21 years old, when I started my insurance company at 30 years old, you know why was one of the reasons we never lost the vice president of the company? And I'm in Vegas right now because I got a convention at MGM for this week with 10,000 people there. We give our guys equity. So our guys own the company. So it wasn't like it's my commission. That idea of equity came from that Jewish, dealership guy I met at 21 years old.
Listen, I get it. I mean, good for them. I don't have a problem with that. I don't care if they help each other out and whatever, they band together. My issue is when they fucking put their country ahead of our country, when they're living in our country and they're politicians in our country. And I care when our country is hurt to help their country. That's what I fucking care about. I don't give a shit if they band together. I don't care if they give each other special treatment, whatever. I mean, I'd like to stop hearing about the fucking victim card bullshit every time I fucking turn around, because they're not victims. They're crushing in every fucking category. And, and they constantly refer to the Holocaust when they're the biggest Holocaust deniers of the fucking planet. They deny the Armenian Holocaust, which, half of my people got wiped out, half of your people got wiped out. They deny that. So I don't think it's right for them to whine about the Holocaust and force feed every single fucking children, all the fucking children and students, this fucking Holocaust narrative and hijack the entire fucking World War II and make it about the fucking Jews when 85 million people fucking died during World War II. It wasn't all about the fucking Jews, but they make every movie about the fucking struggling Jews and how they had to fucking endure all this stuff. And yet, they can't recognize the Armenian Holocaust. We lost half our population. They didn't lose half their population, but yet we have to hear about it every fucking movie, every classroom, every museum, nonstop on every show.
But why though?
Why what? Why do they play the victim card so much?
So let me ask you, who made the movie about Armenian genocide?
I don't know who made it.
Did you ever watch the movie with Christian Bale?
1917?
No, not 1917. The recent one with Christian Bale. I think it's called. If you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. You'd love the movie. But it's called Belief or hang on, Courage, Armenian Genocide movie. What's it called? The Promise. Have you seen it?
No.
It's ridiculous. I'll send it to you afterwards for you to watch. But The Promise. Do you know who made The Promise?
I don't.
The owner of MGM, Krikorian. Okay, he made The Promise with Christian Bale. He put $100 million into it. The budget was $90 million. They made $12.4 million. Is what the movie did. But it's actually a very good movie. It's worth watching. But the point I'm making there is, an Armenian created $9 billion of wealth for himself that he could use the money to make the story, to tell the story of what really happened with the Armenian genocide.
I think you're missing the point. It's not about what they do in Hollywood with their money. It's about the fact that the government puts this in the school systems.
But why do they put it in the school systems?
Because they're controlling our fucking government.
Why do they control our government?
I don't know, because they assassinate presidents. They assassinated JFK because they have a Mossad operation at fucking Epstein Island. They get blackmailing our politicians. They give hundreds of millions of dollars via APAC. That's why they fucking control the country.
His brother.
Yeah, but that's why you asked the question. That's why they control the country.
But the point is.
But is that right? Like, I'm
not saying it's
just because they control it doesn't mean that it's like a pat on the back because they're doing it through fucking illegal means.
So, brother, I'm a business guy. So are you. I'm looking for solutions. What is the solution? What's your solution?
The solution for what?
To this challenge here that they're able to make all these movies, tell the stories, put in the schools, put in all this stuff.
That's not my issue. My issue is our support of Israel, and my issue is like Israel's control over our government. That's my problem. It's not these fucking movies. That's like proliferary shit. My issue is that Israel's controlling our government. They have, Mossad operations to get dirt on our politicians. They're fucking bribing our politicians. That's my problem. Okay. And they're doing it to the U.S.'s detriment. And they're going to drag us into one more fucking war where we have U.S. citizens dying for fucking Israel. Yeah. As a veteran, you should not want to fucking see that.
I'm not for it.
Iraq was a fucking joke. And we did that because that dumb fucking Netanyahu got in front of Congress, lied out of his ass and said there's weapons of mass destruction when everybody fucking knew there was.
We said it as well, bro.
No. It came from him.
No, it's not about it. It didn't come from him. It could have come from him, but we did it as well.
He testified in front of Congress.
I remember that
there was weapons of mass destruction. And it was complete fucking bullshit.
But we said it as well. But again, for me, the only thing I'm interested in, everything you're saying, I don't disagree with the things that you're saying. For me, it's what's the solution? Because they're going to continue making money. BlackRock's not going to slow down tomorrow because we're doing this podcast and all of a sudden they're going to say, oh, Dan Bilzerian, you make sense. Guess what? We're going to stop pushing our agenda so much.
For BlackRock, that's for the people, man. BlackRock are going to change. They're going to operate in their own self-interest. They're going to push this fucking DEI bullshit. They're going to force all the companies that they fund to push DEI bullshit. The only thing that the people can do is fucking push back, start boycotting this stuff, stop fucking supporting it. And, you ask like what the solution is. I mean, why is Israel even an ally? I mean, why when they shot down a civilian plane, did we just say, that's fine? But when Russia did it...
You mean a ship? The USS?
No, they shot down a commercial airliner that flew over their airspace that had civilians in it. When Russia did that, that was an act of war. Why is there a double standard?
Why do you think?
Because they control our fucking government. I said it.
But again...
Why do you think?
Well, I mean, if you want to find out, like, what the first thing would happen for this to be stopped, again, solution-oriented. If we say, what's the first thing? You know what the first thing is? If we stop lobbying, half the shit stops. If the concept of lobbying stops, we had Paul Manafort on the podcast. Yeah, I don't know if you know who Paul Manafort is. Is it Paul Manafort? Anyways, we had one of the bigger lobbyists on the podcast. Him and Roger Stone started their company many, many years ago. And I said, so what do you think about lobbying? I said, do you think it's a good thing? Or do you think...
I think it encourages corruption, is what I think.
I fully agree. But you know what he said? He said, the other side's doing it, so we're going to do it. So if today lobbying stopped, these guys wouldn't have the kind of power that they have today.
The whole system's broken. That's the problem. It's broken, and government just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I mean, listen, this country was founded because we didn't want to pay 1% fucking tax on tea. Don't forget that.
We were willing to fight for that.
1%.
And now,
1% tax on tea. That's why we have this fucking country. Come a long way from there.
what's your point?
My point is that, you know, we should fucking stop putting up with this bullshit, and there should be fucking changes made. Like our politicians are not running our country. We think that they are. They're just not. And
You think it's ever going to change?
Clear.
You think the format's going to change?
I think that when we have our economic crash, that might be a catalyst. I think people are lazy, and I think they're pussies, and I don't think they're going to do jack shit until their way of life is threatened. And I think people will do something. That's what I think. But I think it'll take an economic collapse for anybody to do anything. The government's not going to initiate it, that's for sure.
Well, don't you think an economic collapse would actually benefit them? Would actually benefit the people of power to be able to give more free things during that time for where people are willing to give up even more?
They can inflate, and they will. They'll
Right.
print more fucking money. But that, can't go on forever. This like fairy tale of just like printing and printing money, like that doesn't work. I mean, like, let me ask you this. Why do you think the quality of life now is lower than it was 50 years ago when we have all this technological innovation? We've got the ability to produce things for a lot cheaper cost. We've got the ability to mass scale. Why do you think our quality, like, where's all the money getting sucked out of? Like, where's all the money going?
If you go on 50 years, you're talking 74.
No.
So are you talking technical? You want a technical answer, or you want just a...
I'm saying, where'd the money go? Well, how did all that money get
a lot
sucked
of-
onto the economy so that, we are having a shittier average quality of life than we were 50 years ago?
Well, if you're talking technically in 1972, when Nixon took U.S. off the gold standard, shit changed because America can print as much money as they want. You couldn't when it was based off the gold standard. So the recklessness started after 72. So if you're talking that, that's that part. Because now we can just do what? Hey, you know what? What do we need to pay off? Print another $1 trillion. Print another $4 trillion. Print another $6 trillion. It's okay.
Exactly.
And by the way, just so you know, the more money they print, guess who makes the money? You know what the money goes up to? The people that have businesses.
Yeah. I mean,
But if you're asking the technical question, that's where the wild, wild west started. Where typically it's like, okay, hey, Dan, can I get $100,000? Yeah, here's collateral. Okay, cool. I got it. $120,000 watch, shit hits the fan. I can sell this, no problem. Mm-hmm. This was gold. What's collateral now? I got you, bro. You're good.
I get it.
I'm USA. I got you. It's the fiat currency.
But why do we start the Fed? Why do we start the tax? Why do we get off the gold standard?
Yeah. I'm with all of it, but I'm curious what you think, because you got a smile on your face. You have a
I've
reason.
already told you what I think's the problem. I've said it numerous times. I mean, our government is not being fucking controlled by the people who say they're controlling it.
You seem very optimistic.
I'm not. I'm actually not very optimistic about it. Like I said, I think it's going to take an economic collapse for anything to change.
You ever read the book Fourth Turning?
No.
Yeah, the guy talks about how U.S. goes through 4 turnings every 20 years. Things change every 20 years. I had him on the podcast 2 months ago, something like that. Neil Howe is his name. And by the way, he wrote this book in 97 with a guy named William Strauss, if I'm not mistaken. And, they said, well, here's what happened for this 20 years. Here's what happened here. They made 5 predictions. One of them was Russia's going to invade a neighboring country, which they did. 2, they said market crash. 3, they said there's going to be a big pandemic. 4, they said something about the Tea Party. And 5, they said in 1997, they said civil war. There could be a possibility of a civil war where the two sides can no longer get along and understand each other, where that's going to be the collapse. Not a market correction, a flat-out civil war, where you're going to sit across another guy like, dude, we're never going to agree on what you're saying here. We're living in 2 different countries here. You're in La La Land. That was a prediction they made. And they said the Civil War is going to be taking place somewhere between 2008 and 2028. And they wrote this in 97.
That's scary.
They wrote it in 97. And we're kind of living in it today because, the last 4 years exposed a lot. But for me, the level of optimism comes in moments where you feel like you no longer have control. This is for me. Again, not for you. I'm talking to you for myself. This is when faith plays a role. to bring optimism. This is when you go back and think about with Hitler, where there was a guy named Dietrich Bonhoeffer. I don't know if you know who Dietrich Bonhoeffer is. This guy was the guy that, the way Hitler was able to get what he did to Germany, he went after churches. And he feared, if you believe in God, that's the only thing he can't beat. Same thing with Russia. What's the first thing Lenin and Stalin did? It's materialism. God doesn't exist. The more you eliminate faith in people, the more I can control you. You ever seen the movie Book of Eli with Denzel?
Yeah.
Remember when he says, this one book, if I get this one book, I can control the people. I can control the people. And Denzel didn't want to give the book to the other guy because he wanted to do bad things with it rather than doing good things with it. No, man, I think hope and faith is a very valuable quality that the enemy fears.
Well, I mean, there's a full-on attack on Christianity right now, and it's being, waged by the media. Did you watch the Olympics?
Of course.
It's fucking utter blasphemy. Like, it's just like acceptable. Like, it's acceptable to.
Why does it bother you though?
Why does it bother me?
Because you're not a Christian, but why does it bother you?
Because it is fucking an unnecessary attack on a large majority of the world's faith for no fucking reason. Who benefits from that? Like, why is this transgender stuff just being shoved down your throat every time you fucking turn on TV? Why are we having men and women's sports? Like, it's nonsense. It's utter fucking nonsense. People are too scared to say anything about it.
I think people are louder today.
They're getting louder.
Yeah, because of one guy. One guy gave a platform for people to be louder. If he didn't buy Twitter in 2022, America's a very different America today.
Yeah.
A very different America today. And this goes back to the argument I was making to you, which for me, the argument is, I'm not surprised that Jews are making movies to say they're great. The first Titanic that was ever made was made and directed by Hitler. Do you know who the hero was in the first Titanic? A Nazi soldier. That's his job. His job is to convince us Nazis are good people. And then you watch.
Do you think Nazis are bad people?
I think depends who you ask. You ask a German, you ask somebody that was part of, that's their representation, that's their country. You think CIA is good to people in Iran? They hate the CIA.
I think the CIA is a terrorist organization. And I think that, ever since I was a little kid, I knew that Nazis were not the bad people. They were people that were born in fucking Germany that joined that army. Just like people in America joined the fucking American army. This whole idea of like a boogeyman of like all the fucking people born in Germany are just like all of a sudden homicidal killers and they're all really bad. It's just fucking nonsense. Like the idea that all Muslims are terrorists is just fucking bullshit. But that's what Hollywood keeps fucking pumping out there. Is like every fucking bad guy in these movies are always these fucking jihadi terrorists, like they're always the fucking bad guy. They're not. They're a fucking quarter of the globe. Like a quarter of the globe is Muslim. They're not all fucking bad guys. They're not all terrorists. They're actually like a pretty peaceful religion. But like, I don't like this propaganda being like shoved down your fucking throat all the time.
So you think, okay. So you said earlier, did you watch the Olympics opening? Great. Who do you think did it? Okay. Are you alluding to the fact that Jews were the ones that are funding the Olympics, the commercials? So because of that, they made fun of Christians. Is that kind of where you're going? Or no, you're just saying they're mocking Christianity, period.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's.
Okay, I got you. I thought you were going there. No, but to me, okay.
I just don't think like on a worldwide stage, mocking a religion is acceptable.
I fully agree with you.
It's atrocious. And especially like this injection of gay shit, which is just like, why? Why does everything have to be gay? Why do transgender people have to fucking read stories to children? Why do you have to have gay books talking about gay sex acts for 9-year-olds? Like when I was 9, they didn't tell us about sex at all. You weren't in fucking puberty. Like, why do you have to learn about like homosexual acts when you're 9 years old? Like, it's just nonsense. It's utter fucking nonsense. And who's pushing that? The fucking media. The media is pushing that. The media is saying that that's okay. So I'm not okay with that.
Neither am I. I got 4 kids. Trust me.
Yeah.
I lived in LA 24 years. I lived in Dallas 5 years. I'm in Florida because of that. So in Florida, vaccines. We were talking about vaccines earlier, you and I, about, whether you took the vaccine or not, conversation you and I were having. But, you know, even in Texas, if you want to use religious exemption for your kids to not take the vaccine, even if they go to a Christian school, you still have to have your kids take it and show the card. You know what it is in Florida?
What's that?
You just say it, and they're like, okay, no problem. No questions
there shouldn't
asked.
be any requirement anyways. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like, you know, you announced you're running for office in 2015. It sounds like you're going to run again. I mean, you're very firm in some of the convictions you're having. And what's interesting about it is you're going through now. So I don't know, are you a guy that reads a lot, or no? Are you a big reader? Do you read a lot of
I
books?
read a little bit, not a ton. I mean,
is the interest there for you to go deeper and deeper on this topic, or is it surface
I'm
level?
a lot more interested in politics in general, you know, like, I mean, I'm watching what's happening in the world, and I think things are accelerating at a very rapid rate, and there's a fucking problem, you know, just like, I mean, that's why I did the fucking like whole, you know, course for guys, because I feel like there's a problem fucking dating. Guys are doing the wrong thing. They're getting bad results. Half the guys are just quitting on dating. Like, there's some real problems in the world. So
Tell us about the course you're doing.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of the premise of it, is guys have bad directions, you know, they're doing the wrong thing and they're getting a bad result because of that. They're quitting. And so, and nobody's really like putting out the fucking good result. In fact, they're giving them like really bad directions. Like Hollywood's giving them horrendous directions. And so because of that, you know, people have bad maps, you know, bad maps don't lead you to the right place. You're better off not to have a map. You go to the fucking gas station, you ask him, you know, where this and this is, and he tells you fucking go up the road, take a right, and then go 5 miles, take a right, go up the road 3 miles and take a left, and you'll get there. And like, and the place is back this way. Like, you know, you're worse off for having this bad directions. And that's where I think, you know, the state of dating is guys are much worse off for having these bad directions. And, so yeah, I just kind of wanted to like lay out there the correct approach, because that's what I mean. Look, I dedicated a big part of my life to my sex addiction, right? So I learned a lot, and I learned a lot because I had a big sample size of girls that wanted to sleep with me that I screwed it up with, and a large sample size of girls that wanted to sleep with me that I also slept with. And only in cross comparing that data can you really figure out like what is effective and what's not effective. Like, if you have a bunch of girls that don't want to fuck you, you're not going to learn that much from that, you know, because like maybe they don't want to fuck you because you're Armenian, maybe they don't want to fuck you for this reason or whatever. But like when I have a large sample size of girls that for sure want to fuck me, and I know that because they sent